Yo, what's going on, world? It's another edition of the BeU Podcast. I hope y'all doing good out there. You can check us out on all streaming platforms that provide podcasts. That would be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, mainly Google Podcasts, and any other streaming platforms that provide podcasts. You can always find us on YouTube if you type in the BeU Podcast, and check me out on Instagram at either the BeU Podcast, the underscore BeU Podcast, or check me out on my personal Instagram, Ashley underscore BeU Forever. Recording this on I believe it's a Wednesday night here in Japan, 10 p.m. The spring is coming along really well. Cherry blossoms are blooming. The weather is becoming very beautiful, and I am back on the mic with another very dope individual. I know he's already very dope, despite we linked what about a week ago now.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Oh, okay. And this brother, his name is Takuan Amaru. All right, and that's a dope name in general, and probably a lot of people out there like, man, what's the mesh of those names and how did that come about? You know what I mean? So yes, I would love to go ahead and welcome him to the BU podcast. Thank you for coming on, brothers. Much appreciated.
Hey,
Much
pleasure to
appreciated,
be
man.
here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, much appreciated. How you doing? What's going on with you?
I'm doing great, man. As you said, springtime in Japan. It's always a nice time until after Golden Week. Well, until the rainy season begins, and the bugs and
Yeah.
everything start coming out. But from here until especially Golden Week, yeah, it's lovely. So yeah, enjoying the cherry blossoms.
Okay, most definitely, brother. This brother is of correct me if I'm wrong, African American and Japanese descent. He also has written two books. I believe you stated the first one is titled Gaikokujin, which for the individuals who don't know what that means out there, that means black person, literally black outside person, um, in Japanese. And he has just has a recently written a new book called Decoded. We're going to be discussing some of the things from those books, and more or less just about Takuan Amaru. And I guess I'm really interested, um, because I think you're actually the first, half black and half Japanese person that I've had on the show. If I could think, yeah, it is,
Oh, really?
and I'm glad
Okay.
I'm finally able to um sit down with the seasoned, should I say, half black and half Japanese, individual who's seen both sides of the coin and probably lived on both sides of the coin as well too.
hmm
Um just to kind of get your ideas, your perspectives, and just overall your general upbringing and how it was. Doing it. I'm sure you did a little bit in Japan and you did a little bit in the States as well too.
hmm
So I guess we can kind of just talk about that first. Like who is Takuan?
Okay. Well, again, thank you for having me on, and thank you for the question. And yeah,
Most
you pretty
definitely,
much
bro.
summed it up. Yeah, my father. Uh, I always say black or Native American. Now they're going through a lot of talk in the states. You're going to go back there, how they're delineating between FBA and was foundational Black American, and so there's a lot of talk. So recently, when I say, I always say Black Native American, because like a lot of people, in my lineage, when I went down and saw my uncles and them in down south in Georgia, my father was from Alabama. They always talk about the Native American element. You know what I'm saying? And how it was a lot more prevalent than people think. So I had known this, you know, my whole life before starting to hear it now. This talk that this coming from Africa. Not that we didn't come from Africa, but then again, everybody came from Africa, right? Um, but just
Yeah.
kind of talking about being from America, and I could go into that because I actually bought really thought about the back to Africa to the point where roots that you a young guy, you know about the Alex Haley book that became a TV series called Roots. For a lot of
Yes, absolutely. I've seen it.
so a lot of black people, um, no one really knew about Africa or was talking about Africa before that TV series came out, and and I really took that series to heart. I thought it was a true story to the point where I actually the main the main person in the story that from the one who from Africa was Kunta Kinte, and
Yeah.
I, I actually went to his house in Gambia, you know, following this all the way up. So and the people there, they told me a lot of stuff. But from that time, even before then, I was like, oh, okay, I found a lot of stuff. It's not quite as true as they made it out to be. But I don't want to digress too far. But yeah, yeah. Well, my family, my father's from Alabama, and my mother is Japanese. She's from Kyoto, uh, really with the countryside of Kyoto, though. A place called Miyazushi, famous for Amano Hashidate, which is one of the three most scenic places, according to Japanese. The Japanese are supposed to see three main things. I think it's Amano Hashidate, it's Isu Jingu and Mie, and the third one is escaping me now. But you talk to traditional Japanese, like especially those from the Showa generation,
Yes.
they'll all say, if you say, what's the three places that all Japanese are supposed to go to, and so they have that. So Amano Hashidate, where my mother is from, is actually one of them. But we living in Japan and then moving to the Philippines. But mainly,
Mm.
I went to school mainly in the United States, mostly
Okay.
in New Jersey, but we lived all over the place, military type thing. But mostly, and the first book that you talked about, which is actually three books, it's a trilogy called Gaikokujin, the story. The entire title is Gaikokujin, the story. And and thank you, because it seems like you had a look at the book, at least the cover. And I'm not going to get up.
Yeah.
I got one in the bookcase there, but maybe later I'll get it. But yeah, Gaikokujin, the word, if you just say it to Japanese, as you said, I know you speak Japanese, they'll tell you it just means foreigner. But that's with the
Yes.
kanji, the correct kanji, the foreigner, the guy, soto, outside, and the middle one is
Mm.
kuni or koku for country, and then the
Kone.
last one is
Mm.
is person, right? But when I in my book, like as you stated, I changed it. I changed the middle
You
character
did.
from country
I
to
thought that was
black.
dope.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, because so they would, because that story is it's a fictional version, but it's basically my life until I was 21 years old. It's only fictional in the sense that I changed some of the names and some of the places and even a couple of the sequence of the events, but 99% of the actual nayo, the content is
Yes.
on point.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. So I mean, so you say when did you leave Japan? Um. Uh. Do you know what age or around when?
Yeah, again, after Yochien, after like 5, 6 years old, something like that.
Oh, so oh, okay. Okay. You were okay. You. So I, I know that's such a long time ago. 5, 6. Um. Is there anything you vividly recall during that time,
Oh
5
yeah,
and 6? Because like you just stated to me before this, I'm sure, and I'm almost sure it is because like my 5 and 6, I don't really remember so much. I can't like, but before we get into it, my assumption is that, and I'm sure, as you stated before the interview, my son will have this as well, despite him being only 2 years 6 months. He's gonna be leaving here around 3,
Hmm.
but I'm sure he's gonna, because of the uniqueness of his situation. I'm sure he's gonna
No,
have some clear.
it's traumatic. It's, I mean, there's good trauma and bad trauma,
Yeah,
and the good trauma are things that
yeah,
you that challenge you to a huge extent, but you're able to get over it, get past it, and they make you stronger. When that adage, they say anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's
yeah,
it's only true if it doesn't, because being traumatized, being a victim of trauma, in a way, it kills your spirit, right? So if you're able to
yeah.
get
I'm hearing you.
over something that's traumatic, and face it and get past it, then it makes you
Yeah,
stronger. But if you get beat down by it and never get past it, then that's not what that adage is trying to bring out, right? So it's not just anything,
right, right.
right? Or
Yeah,
but so your son leaving Japan, he's conscious now. He knows what's going on. And when he goes to the States, I mean, even things that you can't even imagine, like the air is different. Just because
yeah.
children
Everything's
are so
different. Yeah,
sensitive. Yeah, the just
yeah,
the stimuli, everything around it is going to be so foreign to him that it's going to be traumatizing. Um, but again, he's with you. He's with your, he trusts and loves you and your wife. So it's, I mean, it's not like he's going into a foster home or something like that. So this is the type of maybe I shouldn't use trauma, but it's a big challenge that he's definitely going to remember it. Is what I'm trying to say. He's going to remember it more so than, like you said, because I don't know your situation, but it was continuous. So you can't really remember 2 from 3 to 4, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like this happened, when I was 2, or like you said, you don't even remember. But his is going to be different. He's like, all of a sudden, everything is different. So he's going
mm,
to definitely remember
mm.
that point. You know. But again, it's going to it should make him stronger. Should make him stronger.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I believe that as well too. So like when you 5'6", being African American and Japanese in Japan, is there anything that kind of really sticks out to you? Anything that you really vividly remember, or anything like that?
No, not really. For me, because I was younger. My sister's older than me, and we had an adopted
Okay.
brother, and he was older. And at that
Wow.
time, there was I didn't even realize, like, my mother had gotten really ousted from her family and everything. But um,
Mm,
children don't face the brunt all. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. I don't really remember that well, and that also could
mm,
be an effect of trauma, though. You know what I'm saying? That also could be
yeah.
that. When
Yeah.
my brother, my adopted brother, he had it worse because he's way much older than me. He's 12 years older than me, so he went all the way through high school, and
Yeah.
I'm a lot older than you. So this is back in like back in the 70s. He used to get chased home and teased and called corombo, which do you know what
Whoa.
corombo means?
I want to say that I do, but I don't. I don't know the exact English mean. Crumble. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the pejorative for the N word. So that's
Oh,
specifically,
really?
yeah, specifically for black folks.
Uh,
You know, yes. So
is
yeah,
it
so he
is it just to jump on a small tangent? Is there a kanji for it, or is it like a katakana, or just hiragana?
I think every time I always see it, it's always katakana because it's always being said.
Okay,
Kudo. It
kurumbo.
probably is.
Okay, I'm just
There
trying to
probably is.
figure out
There
what
probably
maybe
is.
that
Yeah,
derived from.
like kudo black. You know, I'm not really sure, but I'm sure if you look at Wikipedia, they got it. And I know I've seen it before, but
Okay,
right off
yeah.
the top of my head, yeah, it's not even coming to me. It's not something that you write down,
Okay, word.
especially not
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I know. I know,
Yeah,
right?
but no, but I
I hear
hear you
you,
though,
man.
because with Japanese words, yeah, if you study it at all, yeah, once you start doing that, you want to get the emoji, the kanji in your mind, and you can just see it better. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, but I'm sure if you look at Wikipedia, they'll have
Exactly.
it all for you, or on Google Translate or whatever. They're up to snuff.
No doubt.
Yeah. But honestly, that part probably is a blur because it was from like going from Kyoto to Okinawa, and all I remember is a lot of Japanese women. I remember food, um, I can remember like
Yeah.
things like setsubun and stuff like that. Um, oh,
Wow.
uh, Shogatsu, that was always big because you go to the shrine, right? Stuff I remember stuff,
Yep.
but
Yep.
that's really much of a blur. And actually, because some of that even did that in the Philippines too. Some of that, so it's like some of the
Yeah.
memories get switched. Like, no, we were living here, we weren't living there. But yeah, not too much because again, it was all pretty much good times. And the reason I remember going to the States is when the food changed. The
Oh yeah.
food.
I'm
All of a sudden
sure that was like a yeah.
I'm like, ohashi, chopsticks to forks and stuff, and yeah, that's yeah. Now that you're saying it, like that kind of stuff kind of sticks out. But yeah, the main thing, the transition going over is because my father was in the military. He was actually in the Vietnam War, and
Okay.
when I was born, he was deployed, and they thought he died. They thought he was killed. Like he was like
Wow.
MIA for like a month or so, over a month. I'm not even sure the duration. So at the time, like I got
Wow.
sent back. I got sent to live with someone else in Japan. So I don't have like I wasn't with my family the whole time. So like a lot of that
Oh
is
my
a
goodness.
blur.
Okay.
But they were all people that I thought they were my. Some of them were. I mean, they really weren't my blood relatives, but I thought they were. It wasn't until much later, like, oh, okay, so he's not really
Yeah.
my uncle. Um, but yeah, that's a whole nother story in itself, really. But yeah, nothing really sticks out from that time. It really is and even like Gaikokujin, the story, I it starts really in the United States, even though I have some of the Philippine stuff in there, but I make it seem like it happened in the States just so I could avoid the whole moving stuff, because it didn't really play a part in the
Yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, but just
Yeah,
seeing the
yeah.
States, and especially going off the, like, again, and then going to the States and living on a military base is different than living in the hood. It's much different. It's
Yeah.
night and day. You go from structure
Yeah.
to, and I didn't live in the hood, so especially when we first moved off, it was a white neighborhood first. Neighborhoods we lived in were white, and yeah, but just really seeing that, and then going from white neighborhoods, and then moving to, as the neighborhoods became more melanin rich, you could say. Um, yeah, that's what Gaikokujin, the story, really really covers, and the challenges that come with not necessarily being Japanese at that point, really being black. But I would say being Japanese, because there's a good portion of the book that I reserve for, like, I remember kids telling me I had to learn to be black. Now your son has a good relationship with you, I'm sure, so that's going to really assist, and especially if you bring him around your family. I didn't have any of that, so I was just going out there. My mother couldn't prepare me for that. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
she
I
could.
understand what you're saying. Yeah, that's deep, man. That's deep. So I mean, it seems that you're fluent bilingual. Uh, I mean, how was that dealing with that? It's like you said, you know, just said, you have African Americans born stateside, not mixed race, saying, oh well, you have to learn to be black, right? Like whatever that means. Um, then, of course, your mother, which my wife will be doing with our son as well, is still making sure to instill and have you understand the fact that you are this as well, and this is the other language that you will need to be speaking. um, and even me, as an African American man, American, uh, I also want to make sure that you know my son has that
You
instilled in
should.
him. Some surprisingly, some cats don't move like that. Like I heard some wild shit from some cats. Like, nah, I ain't gotta know that. Nah, I, uh, just I read books on balloons, a whole bunch of stupid shit. Oh, they ain't really gonna, you know, be able to learn both, or one's gonna, overtake the
That's
over,
ridiculous.
like to completely overtake the other.
That they're
Just
projecting.
crazy shit.
That's projecting because they can't do it, so they can't even imagine it. But for kids especially, that it's so natural. Like if you go to Africa right now, when I was in Gambia, everybody there speaks 3, 4 languages. They'll call
Yep.
them what do they call it? Not languages. They'll say they're what do you call the they're inside of a language? Not like I can't think of it's not coming right now. But they say they're not actual
Uh,
languages; they're versions of each other. But they're not; they're totally different languages. I was at, how do you say this
oh,
in
that
Wolof?
dialects.
Yeah, dialects. Yeah, that's what
Okay,
they try to say,
dialects.
right? But as if that French and English and Spanish are not dialects in that situation because they all come from the Latin, Roman language family, or the Romance languages. You know what I'm saying? And they're
Yeah.
deriving from Latin, but they won't. Those are separate languages. When you can clearly see if you study any of those languages, Portuguese, Italian, Spanish, English, you can clearly see the similarities that they come from the same tree. But you go to like Wolof and Mandinka, they're like different languages, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
everybody over there they speak their language, and they speak the languages of the two, tribes or nations. I call them nations. They say tribes that live amongst them, and then they speak
Yeah.
in Gambia English. In Senegal it was French, and I'm like they're switching languages all the time, so and you go back in history, just the Phoenicians, everything, like the melanin rich people, we were always the people that knew languages. We were the ones like Columbus ship, and they don't ever tell you about the Moors that are with them. That those are the people that were translating and moving into these native places. These Europeans couldn't go in there and do that if they didn't have these translators who were always dark skinned. You know what I'm saying? But they leave them out. But if you really look, even in the historical text, even in the illustrations, just look around. Just don't look at what they're pointing at, and look in the corner, and you see, well, who's that guy? Who's the dude with the turban? You know what I'm saying? That's all through history. It's only now that we've gotten to this point where we're getting dumbed down, um, and because the dominant society makes us think that. But that's not how we've rolled all through history. No,
Never.
kids,
I tell
they
it. Yeah.
yeah, they acquire languages. My mother told me, I don't remember this. She said I spoke not fluent, but I was a little kid, like Tagalog. She said, yeah, you, because when we first moved to the States, yeah, I was around the Filipino people from the Philippines, and then we moved in. There was a Filipino family near me. You know what I'm saying? And and then it was Spanish people speaking Spanish, and they were like, "Oh, we had to like move somewhere else," because my mom was like, "Oh, come on, this is English. We heard this is supposed to be English," and people were speaking Spanish. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no.
Yeah.
And my mom, she said, "Yeah, Blum, we first came over here. Yeah, your Tagalog was on. I don't remember any of it. So you can pick languages up and drop them. That's another thing. The fact that your son's coming over, and the fact you speak Japanese, right? So even you're going to be communicating primarily probably in English, and and because you have to be to break stuff down, and he can do it with other people. But the fact that you, like, if he speaks Japanese with your wife, you're not going to be totally out of the conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Never. Yes,
And
exactly. Never.
you're promoting it, and she's promoting it. Now that was a totally different. My mom stopped speaking Japanese to us.
Oh,
She
really?
was because she was old school. That whole oh, we foreigner outside and all. Like the doctor, he spoke nothing but Japanese. He can't speak Japanese at all now. Living in the States his whole life. or not his whole life, from the time he
Mm-hmm.
was in high school and never went back. He had such a bad time in Japan. He can't. He
Yeah.
always like, well, why do you want to live in Japan? Because his mindset that post war stuff. You know,
Yeah.
he got it bad, like nothing like what we're facing.
Mm-hmm.
From the '80s on,
Mm-hmm.
after the bubble, it changed. You could say
Mm-hmm.
the code. What I talk about it in this book, I call it the Yamato Code. Um, it changed, and not only foreigners, but well, actually after the war, because after America became the conquering nation, English and Western ideas were force fed into Japan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On
That makes total sense. And yeah, as absolutely.
onto
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
Japanese. So that kind of
Yeah.
created something. But for you and your son, let me, before we leave that thing, it's really really good that you speak Japanese. He's going to continue being able to speak at least at home, so he's never going to lose it totally. He won't maybe be able to break down ideas like abstract ideas, but he's only 2, 3 now. He can't do that now anyway. You know what I'm saying? He'll have to go
Yeah.
and do some further study to do that. But his basic foundation, what I'm saying, will always be what it is now. And
Yes.
another thing, like when I went to the States, because my mother did that, we forgot all about Japan. And like, you're different. And when you're different, if you don't have like facts and knowledge to stand on, it's easy to be
Yes.
ridiculed, because that's what kids do. Whatever is different about you, they're going to point it out. They're
Oh
going to
yeah, no
point it
doubt.
out. And if he doesn't have something
Yeah.
to stand on, that that can really lead to issues down the line. That's something that my parents, they're human beings. They tripped up on that. I was able to overcome it, but my
Yeah.
sister didn't. My sister, she still hasn't. She
Mm,
definitely went through it over that.
understood, man. Understood. Yeah, that's deep. And it's good to kind of hear that from you and get that insight from you about that. Yeah. Um it's good that you're aware of both sides. You still even became aware of both sides, despite the fact that um your mother said, yeah, we hears only English,
Hmm.
but um so since that was the case, like, did you pick Japanese back up and start studying yourself, or like later on down the line did you ask your mom, or just like started speaking to her again and just organically happen, like?
Yeah, I was the only one who was still interested in Japanese. So my mother, the
um,
one thing was strange about my mom, well, unique, I guess, is although she lived much more than half her life in the U.S., she never became American, which
mm,
is really strange. Her English was
mm,
always kind of choppy, um, and all of her
trust me.
friends, all I've never seen her with a non-Japanese person. You know what I'm saying? I know, I thought,
She
she
found
passed
them.
away.
They did, yeah, yeah.
Oh, they got communities over there. There's
Condolences.
communities. Yeah,
Yeah.
and but I never and so she was, at least, especially when I was a child, 2 to 3 times a week we would be in a Japanese setting, and so Japanese was still getting
Mm,
spoken, but like my sister wasn't interested. But I was at least be spoken to, even if I answered in English. You know what I'm saying? But it was
mm,
never
mm,
just
mm,
gone.
mm,
And I paid attention, and
mm, mm.
yeah, like again, my sister, she didn't really like washoku, like Japanese food, that much. But when my mom had those parties, I was
Totally.
like, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm sitting over there, I'll be over there, sitting with the ladies and grubbing, just throwing down,
Yeah.
Now you can get a lot of
Yeah.
that stuff in the States, but back then that was special, especially getting high grade
Mm,
sushi and stuff like that. So yeah, um, knowing both sides, and the same thing. If you came from the States over here, if you don't know, about history of Black people, and really have a good, foundation and role models, you could, fall into the media hype and think, oh, black people are just criminals. Or, and like I said, even when we rise to high occasions, want to shout out to Will Smith and Chris Rock, and they get up there and do something strange in front of the world. you know uh you don't want that to be the only thing, that they're getting, like, so, they're over here in Japan, and then Japanese look at them to explain, and they have no explanation. you know they have no foundation to say, hey, well,
Yeah,
these are the black people I know, or have, something to stand on. It's very important.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Wow, beautiful, man. But got it now, so that it, 話せますね、日本語ね。
Must. It's a big must.
Yeah, it is a big must, definitely. So the one thing in your book, Decoded, you said this is the let's get into the book. Your
Okay.
new book, Decoded. I haven't read it, but I did just read the description on the book,
Yeah.
and it seems to focus on the mental health aspect of being an African American or just black over here, because you also do mention, which I do like, that you highlighted the fact that there's a mass push of Africans that are immigrating into Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as me, there was a time, I would have to say, maybe, I don't know, maybe about 5 years ago. Um, yeah, I was in a. It's like you don't state it, but when I look back on it and how I am now, opposed to what I was, like, I was definitely in like a mental. I was depressed, like bad. Like, I know I was. Um,
Wow.
I was, drinking pretty heavy. I was just, blowing money. Blowing money. I know I ain't have. I was single at the time as well too. I met my wife in 2019. No, we met in
Okay.
2017. Yeah, so before her, um, and like, I was in the void of, which I'm sure I always say, is I know a lot of individuals are in the void of, man, do I want to stay? Do I want to leave? Type of thing. Um, and yeah, it was just bad, man, because like you feel like a lot of my homies, military homies, was leaving. Uh, yeah, I wasn't past military, but I know a lot of cats from the military, and they was real cool cats, down to earth people I could really relate to.
Yeah.
Um, and they had dipped, and then just probably, yeah, within the last 2 years, more of like my tight, cat homies dipped, and it's probably like one or two still here now. Uh, and luckily, like I said, when I met my wife, that got me like super grounded and kind of mentally focused. And of course, if this doesn't change it for any man, my son, that was just like, all right, well, that turned on a whole different switch. You know
Right.
what I mean? But um, yeah, can you kind of talk about exactly what you're hitting on with the whole mental aspect within the book?
Okay. You said some interesting things, because you've already told me the duration that you said you've been here, like 10 over a decade,
Yeah,
right? Or coming. Okay. And you went through a period of depression, right?
yeah. I think I wasn't diagnosed, but I'm pretty damn sure it was.
Yeah. Okay. And
Like,
and how
you know,
how
you
long
know.
How long were you here before, just roughly before that period started? Do you think maybe your first
I would
2 or 3 years went?
say that's a good ass question. I would say, yeah, because I moved to Yokohama in like 2014, 2015. I got in 2011. So I was living by myself. I had a girlfriend that was an ex now, of course. And
Of
she
course.
kind of got the ball rolling because I at that time, like, yeah, this is I forgot to leave. At that time, I didn't understand. I was in the denial phase. I was watching the YouTube videos. I was in the denial phase, so I didn't understand the psyche of like, but like these type of Japanese women and things like this. Like shit wasn't adding up to me. I was like, why the fuck? Why would she do that? Like you know
Mm.
what I'm saying? So that was slowly chipping away at me and breaking me down. So yeah, I would say about 4 years. Probably
Okay.
like
That,
my fourth year in. That's when it
that
started. Yeah,
yeah.
get
and
hitting me.
and that's normal, and that's normal, and I mentioned this in the book. Oh yeah, and just okay, because yeah, Decoded is really big on the title, but the actual title is 21st century Japan Decoded. So we're talking about what's
Yeah.
going on in Japan, in society today, and just breaking it down. And I
Yeah.
mentioned kind of what you said. Yeah, the first. Okay, so a lot of what I write about in this book, and it's from a mental health perspective. Just so everybody knows, I was a mental health specialist for 7 years, maybe 8 years in New Jersey at
Dope.
University of Behavioral Health Care. I was
Hmm.
my position was mental health specialist. So I do have training in this. I never thought that I was going to use it like this. Um, but
Yeah.
but what I learned over there working with kids transitioning from homes from battered situations
Mm,
is very similar to what I see in Japan, but just from the physical to the mental or emotional. But it's not as far as people might think. When you think of illness just as a science, just by definition, just means imbalance, right? So you
yeah.
can be imbalanced physically, you can be imbalanced emotionally, spiritually, and if you become imbalanced emotionally, many times it's hard to diagnose, to self-diagnose, especially. But like you said,
Yes.
but the symptoms don't lie. Like you said, you start drinking, you start spending money you don't have. Why? Because you're trying to get something outside of yourself because you're trying to make yourself whole. You realize that there's something's missing. So what is it? You know what I'm saying? And you go for the low hanging fruit. That's not when I say you, I'm talking about people in general, right? And when you move to Japan, coming from the States, usually, oh, again, in this book, I wrote it and I say it's for Black people, and it is. Um, and I talk about mental health because, as I told you, I have experience, and I compare the society of Japan to the army, which I spent 3 years in the United States military. So, because I'm not Doctor So and So, and I'm not trying to present myself as such, it was important for me to stay in my lane when I wrote this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to argue with people. I'm really just it's about results. And as you said, when you read the book, I'm sure you're going to see it. The first couple of years when you first come over here, especially if you're Black, it's almost impossible to not be enamored because just the fact that the
Mm,
police aren't messing with you like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't feel physically any kind of threat.
yeah.
Like half the time you feel like you can knock 90, I can knock everybody out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just, what I mean? I'm just being facetious, but um, and then the streets are clean. Like there's other than maybe I heard in Tokyo. Shout out to my man DJ Alvin. He talking about how a lot of brothers get stopped for visa checks and they start to pat you down and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely not okay. But that's a far cry from feeling like someone's gonna pull out a stick and jack you up, or even worse, pull out,
Yeah. No doubt.
tase you or shoot you or falsely imprison you. Um,
Yep.
if you just don't do the whatever we know that story. So just that. for black people, you know what I'm saying? Um, and again, the lack of pollution and stuff like that, and uh, it's difficult to tell black people a lot of times anything that's not really doesn't sound positive. And I think a lot of black
You ain't
people
lying.
have shied away from this book because of that, because they're like, they ain't trying to hear nothing. Like, you're trying to bring that black stuff, or and I'm like, bruh, you didn't escape. You didn't escape. You can be in a temporary holodeck, but if you stay there too long, you're gonna lose touch. You're gonna become weirded out.
Yep.
You're not gonna be able to
Yep.
deal. You're gonna talk to people from your home, and you're not gonna be able to relate to them. And not only that, it can even happen here in Japan. You just become weird, you know. Eh, eh,
You right though. You right. You're right.
because you could be, why? Because you get Japanese, as you know. For those who don't know, it's a very closed society. It's a very, they say, dantai
Mm,
teki, which is group oriented. So not only is it
mm,
just Japanese and Japanese, but I'm within the Japanese society. Like, if, for example, I always use this: if you see 100 Japanese people at a function, and walking up as a black person, don't look Japanese. When you look over at them, it looks like there's 100 people all chilling and doing something together. I mean, you go to any park on a weekend and you can see this, right? But after you live here for a while, and if you start looking really closely, you'll see that they're not really talking to each other like that. They're talking to,
no,
it's groups of 4 and 5 people they could be playing ball, and they're doing it with next to each other. It's a dynamic that you don't really see in other countries where there's more space. You know, um, you know, so just these kinds of small things. So if you're on the outside of that, totally looking in, you're missing what's really going on. You're seeing it, but you're not experiencing it. You know, and if you stay in that being on the outside for too long, because you can only really do it as a foreigner, and really as a foreigner that comes from a Western country. Like, that's where you see the
mm,
difference. Like, an African person from Africa, in many cases, has not totally different. I mean, there's going to be some similarities, but I write in the book 21st Century Japan Decoded, after the war, um,
mm.
the humiliating way that Japan was defeated. And, if you read into it all, that Commodore Perry, excuse me, not Commodore Perry, wrong one, what's my name? MacArthur.
MacArthur.
General
Yeah.
MacArthur, he had a SCAP force, well, with SCAP, I think it was the Supreme Command Allied Powers. And
Yeah.
they shut Japan down and locked it off, and they alone were inside Japan, and then they're making dictates, mandates, making English compulsory in the English in the education system.
Schools. Yeah.
um and you got to think now, for Japanese, you got to think 2 weeks before, 2 months before, these were the evil devils, the gaijin. We're
Yep.
superior to them, they're inferior. And this is all, this is not my opinion, this is easily research. You
Yeah.
can
This is
Google this.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
just think,
know. I
you just think,
you ain't tell me.
right, but just think about it now. If you had that outlook on a person or a people, and then they come and not only beat you, but I mean just dismantle and destroy you, annihilate you, and then come move
Yeah.
in your house.
Yeah.
They living in your house and
Yep.
making we're not gonna eat, no, we're gonna drink milk now, no, get that green tea out of here, no, we're gonna do, no, sit on the chair, get us the Tommy stuff out of here. I mean, what kind, there's going to be some kind of resentment, and especially when you're a man and you can't do anything
Yeah.
about it.
That's
um
natural.
and
It makes perfect sense.
right, and that's what the definition of a complex, the psychological definition of a complex is. And so that complex, whenever Japanese people in today's, now coming back to now, when they meet people, however, the proximity that you have to being a descendant of one of those conquerors, there's a complex that Japanese have. So an African person or a Brazilian person, they'll get more of the real Japanese attitude from jump because Japanese don't feel the same need to front, to be duplicitous in front of them. But when you're one of the conquerors kids, they're gonna hide. This is just something natural that occurs, and it's been watered down and hidden over the decades. But if you research it and take a look at it, you'll see that what I'm saying is true. Like when you talk to an African person or a Brazilian person or a Peruvian person, um, and then like for myself, I've been in situations where Japanese don't know what I am. Like when I was in Kagoshima, they thought I was Ethiopian.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought I was
Right.
Ethiopian, and I got a totally different experience. And then I was like, no, 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 I'm from America, you know. Oh, and then they switch it up. Why we didn't know that, you know? And I
Yep.
was like, okay, so this, what's going on here? Um, so yeah, so you get over here and you get used to being treated, especially for a black person, because let's just face it, because of the system of racism, white supremacy, um, it's black is seen as negative and white is seen as right. And you might not say you might not personally subscribe to that, but you're going to be affected by it, by everyone else thinking, even if you don't 100%, which I don't think is anybody. It can just be totally true. But let's just say it is for the sake of argument. You're still going to be affected if you're saturated because the dominant society is the dominant society. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when a lot of black people come over here, they get merged in with white people in the gaijin tag. And for a lot of
Yes.
black people, they will never admit it, but they like it because they see it as a step up. But what they don't
That is a
realize is the
damn good
gaijin
point.
tag is
Right.
you're just outside. You're outside, and there's a lot, and there are some positives because I have a section of the book called the gaijin pass. There's a moment when you don't want to do no Japanese stuff,
Yeah.
and you're going to get benefits, but when you become conscious of it, you know when to turn it on and off. Because for me myself, especially being from Japanese descent, I can't walk around doing this gaijin stuff all day. I can't walk around, hey, where you from? What's your favorite Japanese food? I can't, but I had to learn you can't snap at people either. You know what I'm saying? Like, get out my face with that dumb, that don't work in Japan. You know,
Yeah. I
and
had to learn
again,
that the
because
hard way. But this is I felt I was just how can I say, I was justified on why I was doing it because it was to me it was some foul shit going on and I just couldn't
you break
like
that down.
but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What happened?
like it has some stuff to do with some stuff with a that start with the J word in the past for a previous
Well,
C
what's the,
word.
what's the J word? I don't.
Oh, JOB.
Okay, J. Okay, somewhat your
Yeah, I
job.
don't want
Okay.
to due to professionalism. I don't want to lay out too much. I'm not gonna say the company name, anything like that. But the
Okay,
company was
leave
on
out the
some
pertinent details.
super,
Leave out the
yeah,
details.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was on some super shady, some shit. I saw it was very shade and unethical and things of that nature. So I would tend to go off on people in there. At some time. At first, I no, I would handle things very like diplomatically at first, but then it was just like they just ain't listening, right? And I told them like, look, I had to tell everybody this is one thing that I've come to see with myself. Like, look, bro, if you don't like answer my questions directly, or just to say I don't know, that is a big pet peeve of mine. And believe me, like that's one side note. That's probably another reason why I cannot stay here. It's like, bruh, like I asked you a question, answer my question. Uh, and yeah, I don't take, I really don't take that off from, motherfuckers that's not from here. And then I've kind of learned to understand that, well, I like, I kind of learn to deal with it, amongst the Japanese.
But do you have any like one situation, without like leaving out the details, that
Um,
you would say like a challenge that you came up,
what was
because
a
it'd probably be
what was a
easier to,
big what was a big what was a big thing that
like you said something about
oh,
they would.
here it is. Okay, I don't know
Okay.
how much. Here's one of the biggest things that was really bothering the shit out of me while I was doing this. And you may be familiar with the system Minashi Zangyo.
What's that?
Okay, so
I know
basically,
Sangyo's. Yeah,
it,
yeah.
you may know when I tell you it's basically that indebted overtime system. Like
Oh,
they allot.
Zangyo. I thought you said Sangyo. Zangyo. Okay, okay, yeah, okay. I thought you said
Yeah, that but
Sangyo. Okay, yeah.
yeah, excuse me, yeah, Minashi Zangyo.
Okay, yeah, okay,
So
yeah,
like
okay.
is that allotted overtime system where they already set aside so many hours and then they calculate the monies into those hours, you know.
Okay.
So basically if they yank it out your salary, like you're basically poor. Like it's like you can't live.
It's part of your
But
salary, basically, yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But
Mhm.
but the thing that they'll try to hook, you know, into to foreigners, skin, and even probably Japanese who don't read and don't look at shit, is that you are obligated to work those hours. But that's not the
Yeah.
case. It's a buffer. So they would always attempt to try and indirectly one like indirectly try to make it seem like, oh, actually you have to work those hours, and I would sternly listen, like, nah, I ain't, no, I don't. Like, do I have any more work, or do I have something I have to do, to work these excessive overtime hours? Um, no, well, I'm not working it, and then there'll also be times where they'd be like, do you want to take the, you can take them, and now she's on your out. I'm like, nah. One, I don't have to, and secondly, again, these are overtime hours allotted in the case that I am to work overtime, so I don't have to work them.
Okay, okay, explain that.
So
So these are over, I mean, like, so if you actually had work, that's what you're saying, that you didn't have any work to do. So that's why you should,
nothing to excessively, like, my work would be done, and I would ask
that's
them
what I mean. Your work is
politely.
done. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, my
Hmm.
work is done. Like, you know what I mean? It's just that they want you to get on the train, and it's like, well, no, like, if I was let me say it like this: if I was somebody that was looking to potentially stay here forever, then maybe I would have jumped on the monkey train and did that stupid dumb shit. But I was like, no, I'll work overtime if I have to work it, you know, but not to make you feel, comfortable, or feel that this is my past to, be, I don't know, how can I say, not bothered with, or y'all gonna give me a hard time, or like this is the past. So actually son about to do because he worked up to like 60 hours of overtime this month. Nah,
What?
I'm cool on that. You know
Okay,
what I'm saying?
let me clarify. So if you leave, if you don't work the overtime, you then your salary does or does not get reduced.
It doesn't get reduced because you have so many hours already allotted into the salary for the overtime that you're going to work. So it's basically unpaid overtime.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not 100%, I'm not 100% getting your exact situation. I know about what you're talking about. And Zangyo, just period, is infamous in Japan. But
Yeah,
let me just what I did get, and I kind of allude to this in the book. Whenever you have a situation in Japan where someone is coming at you, first thing you do, you don't want to overreact. You don't want to react right away, right? But it sounds like you had a chance to
yeah,
think about this, right?
yeah.
Um,
I mean, yeah, exactly.
So the way, according to when I talk about understanding the Yamato code and understanding what they're saying, number one, whenever Japanese people are saying something to you in a company situation, whether it's true or not, they're always going to formulate it as if I'm telling you something that you need. Like you need this. You're not going to be able to deal or be here if you don't follow this. That's how it's always going to be
Yeah.
framed. It's always going to be framed like that, whether it's true or
Exactly.
not, but it's always. So for
Yeah.
me, again, when one thing I heard you see, that's something I say, never do that. Never. I'm not saying go along with them. I'm not saying go along with them, but I'm saying if once you say no, and especially the way you're no, see, all Japanese people who are outside, all they see is you're being defiant. And if you ever
Yeah.
look around, if you ever look around, how many times do you see Japanese people be defiant?
Never.
Do you ever? Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're not being defiant. It doesn't mean they're not.
Yeah,
That
I
mean that doesn't
agree.
mean everybody. But see, they don't do it
Yeah.
like that. That's what
Yeah, they out here
that's
on
what I'm
top.
saying.
Yeah, they out here on tate my time, and that's cool. Like
Right,
that, and
right.
that's the thing. Like I can't.
Oh. Yeah. I got it. I got you. You're not trying to do it, and I'm not hating on you for that.
Yeah, I know you.
And like you said, I'm not hating. Okay, check this out. This happened to me. I was working at a school, and same thing. I used to they didn't have nothing for me to do, so I used to go home, and
Yeah.
so we had a meeting, and they straight up told me, they were like, look, the contract is from this time to this time, and I was like, okay, height, and next day I just went home again. I was like, because your whole thing is you never say no, height, because remember, height can mean yes or it can mean I understand, right?
Yes. Exactly.
See, the bottom line is what you
Exactly.
said. The bottom line is what you said, because this is what it boils down to. You said your work was done. Your work was done. See, what they're going to say is unless they're just like, if you're just walking out right in front of everybody, I don't know how it goes down. You know what I'm saying? I don't know exactly how it goes down. Like I didn't hide and sneak out, but I didn't like, I didn't walk out the door like that either. You know what I'm saying? I would kind of go and work out and come in and leave from the gym. I didn't sneak out. If someone saw me, I wasn't like, but I walk out through the gate and all that stuff. But but the whole thing was, I was like, no, because I'm gonna if you want me to stay here, I'll stay here. I don't have a problem with working. But if you're not gonna give me this responsibility, I'm gonna go home. You don't need me. I'm not doing anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But I understand. I can't tell my supervisor, or I can't tell Kyoto Sensei right in his face, like, no, I'm not going to do that. Because when you do that, everybody who's watching, the judge and the jury is everyone, and that's the thing about it. So if you're like height, and then you just go home, don't do the zangyo, just keep on doing it. At the
Yeah, they
end of
know
the
that shit.
day,
No, I understand. No, I get it.
no,
Yeah, I know,
hold
bro.
it. I didn't hit it. I didn't hit it yet. At the end of the day, let's just say there's one guy that doesn't like you doing that, or two people, and they want to come against you. For them to continually say something again and again about it, they have to prove, they got to show something. He's not doing his work here, this, and this. You know what I'm saying? If they can't provide that, they can't keep on making a big deal about it. Do you understand what I mean? So like, yeah,
Yeah.
you need to stay here and do this. You could have just been like, okay, and all you're saying is, oh, I understand what you're saying. I understand. Height, and the next day just go home.
Yeah, just go.
And I'm telling you, and finally that dude
you're right though, but
he's just
right.
gonna stop bothering you, because he'll go crazy. I've had coworkers, I can't prove it, but they've quit. They're working with me, and because they were sitting there trying to control me, and I'm like, and they were like, yo, he really knows how to play the game. I'm not gonna make no waves, but I know, but then that's like your son. I'm Japanese, and they don't think I'm Japanese, so I'm like, I see what's going on. I'm not gonna break the rule like that, but I'm not gonna bend to your will either. because because it's not like I'm not willing to compromise. I'm not a team player, but you're not gonna you're not gonna like, you know what I'm saying, beat up on me because you feel a certain way. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry you have to stay until 8 o'clock, but I know you have to stay until 8 o'clock, and that's what you're trying to say. And you think I'm lower than you, so if I gotta stay till 8, I get it. But I'm sorry, I don't see it that way. I'll do it once in a while, maybe. I'll do it once in a while if there's something going on. Oh, let me just stay for another hour now that I'm here. I can get something else done. I'll do it once in a while. I'm not going to just be an asshole and just ha ha ha. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, no, there's a balance. And that's what I'm talking about maintaining your mental health. Because if you give in and just because it won't stop there. Once you do that, they'll have something else. And you just have a big mascot, dunce hat on in the corner. That happens to a lot of gaijin. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I make the go ahead.
No. I'm glad that you brought that. We kind of on the same wave, and I kind of want to go ahead and close it here. We might have to have a part 2 with this because this was a beautiful discussion up to this point, and we definitely on the same wave with a lot. But I do think at that last company that those, I don't know if you write this in your book because it's about the 21st century Japan, these kind of teeter tottering, transitioning, um, millennial generation Z's, I guess the 90s, late 80s Japanese babies, they ain't about it no more than, but like you said, they're playing the game because they have to because it's where they live. But I, one other big reason I did kind of do it was because I I felt that I was speaking for those because I would, you always have the side conversations after work with something, right? And those people like, this place is fucking crazy. Japanese for that, this place is fucking crazy. I don't Ashley, thank you. And I felt, I felt like those thank yous were sincere, you know, sincere for me, to kind of pop off and still keep my job. And they don't fire like FYI people, they don't fire like that here anyways, which was another reason why I wanted to do it. They'll try to find a way to piss you off enough to quit, but they ain't gonna flat out like ask you. You gotta
That's
really
you
do some
stealing something
crazy
or
dumb
something.
yeah, like stealing, fucking somebody on the desk in the office,
Yeah.
some shit like that. Like you gotta do some
Some
ill shit
sexual harassment.
from,
Yes.
from
Yeah.
yeah, to get you like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But um so yeah, that was the only reason I did it. And you might hit on this in your book, but like I said, we might have part 2. So that was another reason why I was doing it. And I knew I was leaving Japan. I think, like I said, like if I knew that that wasn't the case, maybe I would have adjusted throughout my process. Because, like you said, I know that at the end, when I was coming towards the end of the stint with that company, I was on just a stale face, maybe with a little bit of something in my voice, but I was just, hey, what can you stop? Just shit, like that. Okay, some of that's like, bye, like, just turn them off.
Yeah. The bottom, when you're dealing, you have to, again, you have to be able to stand on your own square, and that's really, really important,
Hell
because
yeah.
if you don't, they'll move you all
It's
around.
over.
They'll just keep moving the goalposts.
All around.
And
Yes.
like I said, the main thing is you have to be able to, if you know what the code is. When I say the code, see, whenever somebody's coming against you in Japan, you have to be able to see exactly where in the code they're violating it, and then you have to make that public to other people. See, that's the whole thing. Like, it's not about again, if you just get up there and say, no, I'm not doing it. Or again, this whole thing is like, especially if you're talking to the police or anything like that. Once you do this, or like, you lost according to everybody around you, and now they have more free will to do what they want. But even if you're hype, wakarimashita, even if it's goofy, even if you don't like, all they see is he's humble, and if he's
Yep.
humble, that means he's good. Japanese are very,
Yep.
very basic like that. And
Yep.
whenever you're the key thing is whenever you have to think about it like you're actually like auditioning on Broadway,
Yep.
especially when they have you on the seat. If they have you on the hot
Yep.
seat, everybody's
You're an
watching
actor.
and everybody is looking to
Yeah.
see what's going to happen. And again, again, just watch Japanese people. That's why you don't ever see them like the suicide rate's really high. The hikikomori, all that stuff. There's a lot of mental illness.
Mm,
But if you ask
mm.
most foreigners, they'll tell you, "Nah, I don't really see nothing that's like mental illness because they don't know where to look."
So is yo. Yeah. Exactly.
They're being because
Yeah.
everybody's looking at them.
Mm,
When everybody's
mm,
watching
mm,
you,
mm,
you
mm.
can't watch them. You know what I'm saying? You can't watch them if they're
Mhm.
watching you. So it's only when you get in amongst them and they're not watching you anymore. Why? Because you're flowing in the same. You're on the wavelength with them. You're not going upstream and you're not going against the waves. But you can never fully be
Mm.
Japanese like that. But that
Never.
is and it isn't true. It is true and it isn't true. And again, that'll have to be a part two. That's not totally true. When I talk about it in the book, I say, no, you can be Japanese. There's a way. There's a way to totally be
Yeah.
Japanese, but if you find out what it is, few people would ever opt to do it. If you're in your right mind, you wouldn't even opt to do it. But it is possible. It is. I've done
Yeah, and
it.
I think I'm in that right.
You
I'm
know.
gonna read your book, bro. Like we this man, we will be on here talking forever, my man. Like this and we'll be in touch on messages and things like that.
Yeah, let's do it,
Um,
man.
yeah, this was a great conversation, a great interview. I think a lot of people who are looking to come to Japan, individuals that are living in Japan, probably haven't heard anything like this. This would be extremely informative for you guys. I hope that you listen to this and really kept your ears open. Uh, like I
And it's
said,
not
as
Japan.
far
It's
as
not Japan. It's not Japan bashing. It's nothing like that. And the
no,
only thing I'm trying to
exactly.
cut you off, yeah. But I want to say one thing. If you're only planning, if you're on the like I said, if you're on the foreigner thing and you're having fun and you like the purple sushi, I'm not mad at you. Enjoy it. Have fun. I did it too. You know what I'm saying? What I'm talking about in this book is going to be more about for people who are trying to be here for in excess of, especially 3, but especially 5 years. If you're going to have kids here, if you're going to establish roots, because remember, the way that you are perceived by the society is going to have a big impact on your children. So you can be like, I can just do whatever. No, you can't just do whatever you want. If you want your children to be able to, if you want to have respect from your children, and I know lots of non-Japanese men, especially, who come here and they're like the gaijin, and their kids don't respect them, and they don't know why. You
Woo.
know what I'm saying? They don't know why because you know what I'm saying. And I'll end there. I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, we got a lot to talk about, and we can wrap on the messenger, man, and think about the next topic, and probably just make it like you just coming on guest starring, and we rap about it.
Hey,
Um,
whatever's clever, man.
you
Yeah.
know,
Hopefully you can read the book, man, because then I
no,
think
no,
you
no,
could
no.
even
I'm
come
going
with
to. I'm gonna
yeah.
get it. I'm gonna get it,
Appreciate the
and
support.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna read it. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, man. Yeah. But with that being said, you got any quick little shout outs before we go ahead and close it up, brother?
Oh yeah, well, I just want to tell everybody where they can get the book. You can get it on Amazon.
Please do.
Yeah, Takuan Amaru, 21st Century Japan Decoded. Also, my website is Takuan Amaru, just like it's spelled here.com. You can catch up with me on Facebook, Instagram, but I'm really on Facebook. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little older than some of y'all. Um, I want to shout out to again Sister Sada Kirkland, the Soulful Chicago Book Fair. I got a booth set up there. Over 50 black authors. I believe everybody, yeah. Lot presentations going on. I have a presentation, my first presentation in the virtual world coming up on April 9th. 10th if you're in Japan, the 9th if you're in the States. Sign up there. I don't know if there's when you post this, I guess I'll put a link up on there for anybody who wants to
Yeah, or
get
send me the
involved in
link. I'll
that.
put it in my Spotify or whatever. So may me, man. No issues at all.
Okay, but that's about and of course the Real Talk family, my brother Sterling Carroll. You're down in Osaka, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, also I'm gonna be doing a book release for 21st Century Japan Decoded in Osaka, in Hirakata on during Golden Week. During Golden Week, and my bad, I don't have the dates. It's going to be, I know there's 2 big dates, but we're going to be doing something in between. So it's going to be like about 4 or 5 days. So if you, I'm going to be looking on my Facebook. I'm going to be putting it up on my on all my channels. But if you're in the Osaka area, man, come check us out, man. Afro-Asiatic Real Talk. You know what I'm saying? Sterling Carroll, man. Peace.
Understood, brother. Thank you. And my shout outs is like Takuan brought up in the show. I made sure we're gonna talk about this since I got on the mic. Will Smith and Chris Rock, bro. Will Smith, bro. Bruh.
You lose.
Bruh, you
No doubt,
I
man.
wish they would have played that when you did that stupid ass, crazy ass weak shit, man. That was some weak ass shit. And whoever listens who disagree with that, turn off the podcast, unfollow me on Instagram, whatever. I don't care. Unacceptable. Again, I said that shit was fucking acceptable. And it ain't no coming back from it now, bro. You and Stain not only is you and Stain a whole lot of other future actors and all that shit because of that lame ass, weak ass shit over him cracking on your wife over some GI Jane joke. Like I didn't even see the joke at first. I thought it was some shit like he said, about the entanglement shit, Alcina or whatever it so may be. And then I
I
looked at
think
it.
all, but I think all of it was involved in that. And just real quick, I think that right there is a perfect example of mental illness. He's up
Yeah,
on stage crying. This is supposed to be his moment. He's getting an Oscar. He's crying and apologizing. He looked like a kid who got too excited during recess in 5th grade. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. And it's like, yo, this is mental illness right in front of your face. And it's like, this
real
guy,
talk.
this is success. Who is more successful than Will Smith? Who would you point to as a black man? Yo, and this is what we get. And I'm trying to tell you, so success, of course, we all want to make money
Yeah,
and all this stuff, but
yeah,
this your mental health, you have to guard your mental health. This
got
is
to.
not a joke. And if
It
you
ain't.
move a little bit away and don't know how to come back, pretty soon you can be way over here and somewhere else. All the money you have, all that stuff, but it's not going to help you from you. Like, when you have a danger from the outside, a bad person on the outside, you have a house, you got guards, you got alarms, you can get a gun, all kind of stuff, call the police. But when the bad
Yeah,
guy is inside, when you become the bad guy, when your mental health
yeah.
becomes under question, you start having suicidal thoughts, you
Yep.
start talking about harming other people. There's nobody can help you. Nobody can guard you from you. And I'm trying to tell you, man, brothers over here, if you're going to stay here, you don't think that this suicide rate, all this pressure from here is affecting you? No, it's not affecting me. It's not okay. If you don't think it's affecting you,
Affecting
you're the
me.
person that is affecting the most. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because you're not able to see it.
affecting
You're
me.
not able to. You're not checking it. And after you've been here for like 8, 9 years, 10 years, and you start, what is this stress I have? Why? What is this? And you don't know what it is. If you can't identify the problem, how are you going to solve it? And brother, I want to also say this. When you go back to the States, yeah, it's going to be different, but don't think you've escaped it. You're really going to have to
No, oh
solve.
no,
You're going
no,
to
no,
have
no,
to
no, no.
solve it.
But no,
You're
but
going to have
yeah,
to solve it. Yeah,
but yeah, by no
you have to
means.
solve it.
Yeah, like no.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, no, I feel you. I feel you. I feel you 100%, man. No doubt about it. But like I said, I think I like up to this point, I think I've gotten over that hump, you know, luckily.
Yeah, we
And
gonna we gonna
hopefully,
talk about that off air. We're gonna talk about that off air a little bit.
yeah, yeah, you can talk about
I'm a little
we can talk
concerned. I'm a little concerned. I'm seeing a little some question marks I got, but yeah, but
but
that's
you
what
can
this is
definitely
this is
reach out. We
about.
can talk about it.
Yeah,
No doubt, man.
we're gonna
No doubt
yeah,
about it. I have
and
no
that's what I'm
issue with
about.
that.
And that's what I'm about, man. Like again, I did it at the University of Behavioral Healthcare. Um, I give out mental consultations to people, and it's funny because I started out just doing like English lessons. the Japanese people are the ones who are like, yo, you need to do this and do mental consultations. And I was like, nobody's going to do that. No, sure enough, people want to do it. And they want to come and talk. And a lot of them don't want to speak English. And they're like, no, I would just talk to you if we just do it in Japanese. Yeah, we can do it in Japanese, man. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? And when you get Japanese to start talking to you like that, these company workers, these factory workers, these truck drivers, and yo, man. And especially you start getting like these like Asians, like Vietnamese, Chinese, Koreans. You know, the Koreans' suicide rate is like Seoul has a higher, or Korea has a higher suicide rate than Japan, and the Koreans in Japan have a higher suicide rate in Japan than they do in Korea. And you got to think most Koreans you meet here they're papered up. They got pachinko parlors, restaurants. So it's not about it's not about poverty in most cases.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mental health, man. You got to guard it, man. If you don't know what to do, though, how you gonna guard it? You know, you don't know what to do. How you gonna do it? And I went through it too, man. I went through it too myself. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from a professional background. I'm speaking from personal experience. And I'm telling you, I walk around this place every day, man, and I look around, I watch people, and most of the brothers I see, and especially the sisters, I just see, I can see it. It's just it's so on them. But you know, if you're not willing to be like, you know, hey, my name is Joe and I'm an alcoholic. If you're not gonna really see, hey, man, things are starting to go a little bit astray. And again, if you're trying to leave here, I even write the book, if you're going to be here for 3 to 5 years, a lot of what I'm saying here might seem irrelevant and it might or unimportant. But I'm speaking. But even if you are going to be here for a short time, you can still pick up some game. But I'm specifically talking to Black people who are trying to lay down some roots here. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to live here. You're trying to establish a career here, and especially if you're going to have kids. If you're going to have children, man. You're gonna have children, man. The way you're perceived in the society is gonna be big on the child's development. And if you can't see that, man, you're very short-sighted. And I'm gonna leave it there. I don't want to say anything negative, but I was a social worker. You know, I used to work with kids in broken homes. So you don't want to be there. You don't want to be in that situation.
Indeed. Well, once again, Mr. Amaru, 本当にありがとうございました. Really appreciate you coming on. So, yeah, man. Shit, that was a beautiful conversation. We're going to wrap it up here. Y'all already know how I do it. You know, morning, noon, and night, wherever you're in the world. Remember to always be you. And we're going to let Samuel go ahead and tell you like it is. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.
Shit, Negro. That's all you had to say.